My name is Autumn O'Brien, and I'm the principal of Cleveland High School. If you would, please stand as we welcome our 2014. Okay. Hello. I have no sound. There we go. Our 2014 Cleveland High School Alumni Hall of Fame inductees. You may be seated. It's a great day to be a Raider. This is a day that we pause our daily work to reflect on our past. You will hear from our student government president in a few moments about the rich heritage of this school. I can assure you that we celebrate that tradition every day in the hallways of this great institution. We are joined today by many people that support our school to make it the best it can be. Seated behind me are Cleveland City School Board members and our Director of Schools, Dr. Martin Ringstaff. We also have principals from our elementary schools and middle school, supervisors, and local officials here to celebrate with us. Without their support, our school would be average at best. Please join me for one moment in thanking them for all they do for our students and community. My favorite moment as the principal of this school is to hear our student body sing the alma mater after the third quarter in a football game or at our graduation ceremony. It gives me goosebumps every single time. We have exceptional students in this building and are proud to introduce them to you today. The class of 2015 has joined us for this ceremony, and our other students present include our choir, which is located over here, and our leadership students who have served as guides today. The remainder of our student body is watching the program compliments of our award-winning broadcast program, CHS Live. Nominations for the Alumni Hall of Fame are taken throughout the year and are selected by a committee of alumni, teachers, district personnel, and community members. It is the mission of the Alumni Hall of Fame to recognize graduates of Cleveland High School who have high levels of achievement in their field of endeavor and who make significant contributions to that field. These honored alumni are people who exemplify the tradition of excellence fostered at Cleveland High School. Inductees must be a graduate of 10 years or more and demonstrate outstanding achievement, community impact, a life for service, and the heart of a Raider. This year, we will honor 15 graduates that have continued excellence after their days at Cleveland High School. One of our goals for this Hall of Fame is to celebrate our alumni. We also hope that our alumni are able to connect with the Cleveland High School of today and know that we still value the excellence and commitment that it was founded on. Last year, we celebrated 17 alumni as they were inducted into our inaugural class of the Alumni Hall of Fame. Some of them are here today, so at this time I would ask any 2013 inductees in attendance to please stand and be recognized. And because we are all here for you and for you, my final thoughts will be directed to our students and those of you that are sitting in the classroom listening as well. One of the resounding themes of last year's inductee speeches was the profound impact of the teachers they encountered while students here. We have a dedicated faculty that commits every day to serve our students and help them achieve their dreams. As you will hear today, you will have an unlimited amount of opportunity as a graduate of Cleveland High School. You make us proud every day, and I am certain we will be hearing from some of you in a Hall of Fame program years from now. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We're thrilled to have you as part of our family today. Before we start our program, please stand for the national anthem, led by Shirley Pace and the Cleveland High School Choir.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare led on thirsting in air. They flew through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning, Cleveland High School, class of 2015, distinguished guests, members of the school board, and doctoring staff. My name is Ben Morris, and I'm the student body president of Cleveland High School. Cleveland High School represents a tradition of excellence in the city. Every person who has passed through these halls as a student, a faculty member, or an administrator has contributed something to the legacy of Cleveland High School. Some have created a standard of academic success, others athletic success, and still others artistic contributions. Some have used their time in this building to gain tools that have enabled them to better this world for another person, whether that person be a spouse, a friend, a son, or a daughter. Cleveland High School graduates can be found in charity organizations, law firms, classrooms, medical clinics, pulpits, bakeries, behind sewing machines, on red carpets, at cash registers, holding hammers on assembly lines, driving tractors, enforcing the law, and defending their country. No matter where they are today, these graduates are part of something greater than themselves, and they have taken a piece of their time at Cleveland High School with them. In the late 1950s, motivated by a desire for a strong college preparatory program and vocational education, a group of Cleveland citizens began working for a city high school. The first step toward this reality occurred when 9th grade was added to Arnold Memorial School. After 4 years of serious discussion, a detailed survey and presentation to the City Commission, the proposal to allow a $2 million school bond referendum to go before the voters passed on May 12, 1965. Voters approved the measure by a 17-to-1 majority with 2,100 votes for and 142 votes against this measure. The building site was determined when Cleveland Woolens, the present location of M&M Mars, donated 22 acres of land on County Farm Road. School colors of blue and white, the Raider symbol voted on by the student body, became the official school insignia. In 1966, students walked from Arnold Memorial School to the new school on Raider Drive. It was a day of great celebration and excitement for almost 700 new Blue Raiders. The formal dedication ceremony was held on October 2nd, 1966 at the new Cleveland High School, a culmination of united efforts by students, teachers, principals, Superintendent T.C. Bowers, all of the Board of Education members, and the Parent-Teacher Association members. Since its inception, academic success has been the benchmark at Cleveland High School, as each year a disproportionate number of seniors for the size of this school are National Merit Scholars and finalists. Students are always active in math competitions, foreign language competitions, Science Olympiad, Constitution Bowl, Model United Nations, Scope, and submitting original research to the Tennessee Junior Academy of Science. Each year, Cleveland High School seniors are awarded over $7 million in scholarships to attend a variety of prestigious colleges and universities. Formal recognition of the school's outstanding academic excellence came in 1983 when the U.S. Department of Education selected Cleveland High School to receive the National Excellence in Education Award. This was Tennessee's first secondary school to receive such recognition. Honors and advanced placement courses are available to challenge the academically talented students. Students who qualify may also enroll in joint or dual enrollment courses at Cleveland State Community College or Lee University, enabling a student to receive college credit prior to high school graduation. Cleveland High School has a storied tradition of excellence in athletics that has produced state championship teams that have captured 17 state titles. Our school has won state titles in football, basketball, track, and wrestling, and we have produced state titles in 5 different decades. Last school year, the historic dome was closed down, and this summer it was demolished. Thanks to a supportive city council and school board, a new athletic facility will open in December of 2015. This facility will not only be the site to continue our historic traditions in athletics, but it will also allow us to host events such as this Hall of Fame ceremony, as well as commitment ceremonies. The arts have been an integral part of Cleveland High School since its inception as well. The school's first band director, Mr. Krill Higgins, wrote the music to the alma mater, while Miss Elizabeth Manley penned the lyrics. The Blue Raider marching and concert bands have performed in many venues and consistently earned superior ratings at both competitions and festivals. The choirs of CHS are highly sought after entertainment around the local area. They also earn high ratings in their competitions. The Little Theater has been home to hundreds of performances throughout the years, from fall plays to spring musicals to the tradition of class playoffs. The theater was renamed the Betsy Vine Memorial Theater in the late 90s. During the spring of 2012, the theater reopened after a $350,000 renovation. Graduates from this program have accomplished impressive feats in the arts field. The Career and Technical Education program has also been an important asset of the Cleveland High School education. These classes have tremendous success, and this program boasts a high level of completers, or students who take a prescribed path of classes throughout their high school career. This year's sophomore class, the class of 2017, will be the 50th graduating class of Cleveland High School. It is this historic tradition of excellence that they will join in during their time at Cleveland High School. It truly is a great day to be a Raider. Thank you, and God bless.
Welcome to Cleveland High School. I'm honored to introduce Mr. David Beckler. David was a member of the first graduating class of Cleveland High School, the class of 1967. Today, Mr. Beckler, a retired TVA Senior Vice President of Labor Relations, lives in Spring City and is currently Administrator of the Tennessee Valley Trades and Labor Council. Mr. Beckler was very involved as a Blue Raider, serving on the student council and as a class officer, as well as belonging to numerous clubs and organizations. He was a 3-year letterman in football, basketball, and track, also finding success as the football captain, an all-tri-state, all-state, and honorable all-mention athlete. Shared by other members of that historic first graduation class, teachers and administrators, Mr. Beckler's greatest memory was that 1966 historic walk from Arnold Elementary School to the newly opened Cleveland High School. A true Raider, he also remembers Cleveland High School's first victory over Bradley Central Bears. Woo! Amen. Mr. Beckler credits CHS with providing him for a positive start to an adult life where a can-do attitude prevailed. Mr. Beckler attended the University of Tennessee, Knoxville on a football scholarship, graduating with a BS degree in business administration. Throughout a 35-year career with TVA, he served his community as a member of the board of directors for many nonprofit organizations, such as Helmets to Hard Hats, Center for Protections of Workers' Rights, Southeast Laborers Health and Welfare Fund, and various other volunteer roles. He He was also honored as a member of the Cleveland Bradley's Old Timers Hall of Fame. Mr. Beckler retired as Senior Vice President of Labor Relations. And on a more personal note, he comes back whenever asked to speak to our football team to inspire them and give them words of wisdom and courage. When I took over as athletic director, he called me consistently to encourage me and tell me how proud he was to be a Blue Raider and to offer any assistance. And he's always a phone call away to give back to the rich tradition that he helped to start. So, Mr. John David Beckler.
Good morning. I am so very honored. I'm very humbled. First thing I want to do is point out John Gaither. What a great representative of my school. John was my student to control me this morning. John, thank you very much. To Principal O'Brien and Director Phillips, the commissioners, and all the administrative teachers and the student body, thank you for making this possible. I graduated in '67. It was the first class of Cleveland High School. If you do your math, roughly, you will determine that I am 65 years old. And you know, I was thinking about that because I started first grade a little bit late. I was held out the first year, so I was a few months older than most of my classmates. You may be looking at the oldest Cleveland High graduate. If anyone else wants to make that claim, I will gladly relinquish it. My greatest takeaway from Cleveland High School was my wife of 45 years. I'd like to introduce to you Cleveland High's first homecoming queen, Carol Rose Beckler, my wife. Thank you. You all take a good look at Carol and I, because in about 47 or 48 years, this is probably what you're going to look like. This is the best it gets. We are the parent, grandparent, and the father-in-law. I am of Amy, Bill, Jonah, Jen, Natalie, Merritt, and Maisie, teachers that influenced me greatly at Cleveland High School, many, but Hilliard, Hamilton, Warren, Scott, Woodall. I transferred from Polk County High School in 1964. I went to freshman year there. I came to Cleveland High actually in the fall of 64, graduated in 67. One of the greatest acts of Congress was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It changed a lot of things. One of the things that act did, amongst many other things, it outlawed discrimination in education. As a result, there were lots of the segregation began, and while in the prime of our high school year, every day we'd read the newspaper, we'd look at the television, there were riots, there were protests, and there were things that were much worse than that. Every day for many, many months. But I want to tell you something I'm so proud of. There were some problems in Bradley County, but there was never, to my knowledge, a single incident of any race-related issue at Cleveland High School. Somebody said, what do you credit that with? Well, I credit it, first of all, I think it starts at home. Certainly our school administrators. You know, somebody forgot to tell Cleveland High School students that you're supposed to hate someone based on their appearance or amount of pigmentation they have in school, in their skin. And I'm so proud of that. One of the things that happened to me is on the football field one day, we were just integrated, we came together, it was very hot, the coaches didn't do water breaks, my throat was dry, and there was a black athlete that, and at the worst time of the day, he said, David, he was standing on the sideline, and he said, and he had in his hand ice. I looked at him, I buried my face in his hands. It changed my life. You never know when small incidents, you never know a kind act, what it'll have. It influenced me for the rest of my life. I wish I had several minutes to tell you what the impact of that was on me. High school was great fun. I'm so proud of that first class, the class of '67. Out of that class came a little bit of everything. Mail carriers, doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs. We had college presidents. And here I am standing today in behalf of that class, for your first class of 1967. In closing, I want one comment. I want you to know We've now been out of school about 48 years. It is a great life to be a Cleveland Raider. Thank you.
Our next CHS Hall of Fame inductee holds a football state championship ring, as well as the distinction of serving as senior class president. A member of the class of 1969, Mr. Ray Kimsey is now an Atlanta, Georgia architect. Mr. Kimsey was an active student during his time at Cleveland High School. He played on the varsity football team, including the 1968 state championship team. He was president of the Interact Club and a member of the National Honor Society and Beta Club. His senior year, Mr. Kimsey was president of the senior class as well as class valedictorian. The 1968 football victory at Oak Ridge High School is the memory from high school that Mr. Kimsey has never forgotten. He believes Cleveland High School impacted him by teaching him the value of discipline and tenacity, as well as how to appreciate a diversity of backgrounds. Upon graduating from CHS, Mr. Kimsey attended and graduated from Yale University in 1973 and obtained a Master of Architecture in 1975. He worked in Chattanooga, Tennessee at Franklin Group Architects, where he planned and designed Red Clay State Archaeological Park. Since 1981, he has served as principal architect at Niles Bolton Associates, a 140-person architectural firm in Atlanta, Georgia. He designed the flagship Olympic Village component for the 1996 Olympics, as well as having planned and designed over 50 projects in China. Mr. Kimsey participates in many professional associations. He has been married for 38 years to Kathleen Thomason Kimsey, and they have 2 daughters, Hannah Kimsey Edwards and Greer Kimsey. He can now add grandfather to his list of titles, as his first grandchild was born this week. Please welcome Mr. Ray Kimsey.
Good morning. Principal O'Brien, Athletic Director Phillips, faculty, and especially you students out there, and all the other honorees. I'm tickled to be here, honored. It is, as David said, a very humbling, I think, moment. One, to just think that people remember you from all those years ago, and 2, to think that somebody would include you with a group like this. It's probably not that strange that my memories would overlap David's in terms of a lot of football-related things. My first memory actually goes back to before David joined our team, and that was when the football team emerged from Arnold Junior High School. And so I remember the very first day that our new football coach showed up as the next grade was added, and we were still practicing on the same hard scrabble football field over at Arnold, which at least at that time had never seen any sort of irrigation. It was the hardest surface I ever saw. And we looked up and we had not only a number of new players coming from the schools, as David mentioned, they had been integrated, but also a new football coach and assistant coaches. And we were the original Bad News Bears because as a junior high school, we had a very abysmal football team, and Coach Scott soon changed all that. My second memory is the walk down the bypass from Arnold to here. And at the time, it was, I think, for everybody involved, deeply symbolic, because it really signified that this thing was really happening. After a lot of interest and excitement, finally we were walking into the new building. My third memory is, as Vice Principal Stone mentioned, the victory in 1968 over Oak Ridge High School. And it was the fourth game of the season. It wasn't the last game when I guess we secured a state championship. But we traveled to Oak Ridge. It was at the time billed as the biggest game ever in East Tennessee. And we were the upstart team, and we beat this perennial powerhouse. And I think at that time, not only the attitude on the football team, but the attitude among all of our students in school changed. And while we went on to win the rest of the games that season, we emerged from that game not as an underdog anymore, but as the favored team. And I think that carried over into all of the sports and all of the other activities within the school. Well, in carrying lessons from Cleveland High School forward, I think the thing that probably has served me best is a sense of humor and appreciation of humor. And I got to tell you that the people I played football with were probably the funniest people on the face of the planet. I'm guessing that may still remain true, but we had a lot of fun. And frankly, that ability to get along with folks and to diffuse things with humor has probably served me better than any other lesson. One of the other things that I think really impressed me when I was in school was the dedication of the faculty and the staff, but also of the parents and the involvement of the community. And I think in terms of what I've done after school here, the thing I'm most proud of is really carrying that attitude into the public schools in Atlanta, Georgia. And I served as a co-president of the PTA at North Atlanta High School. And that experience, I can tell you from the standpoint of being involved in those sorts of efforts, it's a lot of work. But the idea of the community and the business community giving back to schools is something that I saw here, and that's something that I've strived to really make a part of my life. So in closing, again, I just want to thank you. I'm sincerely honored. I'm truly blessed, and as I said, I'm going to leave here and fly up to DC to see my first granddaughter. So I'm as excited today as I think I've probably ever been in my life. Thank you.
Hello, students. My father, Mr. Jim Gibson, is a member of the 1972 graduating class of Cleveland High School. This former Mr. CHS currently serves his hometown as co-pastor of First Baptist Church of Cleveland, Tennessee. Mr. CHS, Mr. Gibson, was an active member of Cleveland High School during his time here. A very busy athlete, he played football, basketball, golf, and tennis, as well as being a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. His successes on the fields and courts carried over into the classroom. However, as he competed in various math competitions and also served his class as a member of student government. He credits the influence of coaches, teachers, and CHS faculty who encouraged, challenged, and taught him so much more than academic abilities or athletic skills, but also how to live as a productive adult. His greatest high school memories include wonderful friendships, classes he truly enjoyed, and athletic competitions. Mr. Jim Gibson considers his incredible opportunity to impact lives for eternity as a co-pastor of First Baptist Church to be an outstanding accomplishment since graduation, as well as the gift of a wonderful, godly wife and the blessings, may I repeat, blessings of 10 awesome children.
I did not know he was going to be doing that. What a great honor, and maybe I'll get through with this little chat that I have an opportunity to have with you. I first just want to say great greetings and thank you to all of you who are here, and it's a great honor to be among these inductees, and for those who have already been a part of this group, it's a great privilege that I have to share with you, and I want to recognize my wife of 37 years, Mary Beth, and one of our daughters, Jane, and also our grandson, Henry. And then another son of ours, Jay, who is a freshman here at Cleveland High School, along with Jake, who just introduced me. What a privilege it is to be a part of this very special time. I have some great memories of Cleveland High School, the football pep rallies in the Dome during school, where we had an opportunity to hear the great CHS band play what we would consider our Rocky Top, and that was Hawaii 5-0, when 800 students would just go crazy in the gym when Krill Higgins led that, and it was a great time together. A cafeteria line with food you loved and plenty of it to eat, and no worries about what was healthy and nutritious. That might have been the greatest thing about it. The homecoming and Sadie Hawkins dances, wondering if I as a guy was ever going to get to be invited by some young lady. And even the student smoking section that was right outside the Dome door. What a great day it was to be a Raider in those particular days. You know, as I share things, I want to just do two things today. One of those is to give you a principle that someone shared with me, and that is, number one, deflect praise. For you see, I'm here not so much because of what I might have done, but because of what people did to shape me into the person that I might be today. My parents, who came to just about every single athletic event in which I ever participated. A dad who taught me about hard work and discipline. A mom who loved me unconditionally and was always at home every day when I left for school and there for me every day when I got home from school. Two older brothers who were willing to spend time with me, teaching me how to play sports, to think and to treat other people, and still are my heroes today. But then at Cleveland High School, my two principals, Mr. Jim Sharp and Mr. T.C. Henley, who were very impactful upon my life, even as I was called to the office from time to time, and I'll never forget those meetings that we had there in that particular office. It was great to see people who were interested in me. Bob Ingram, the assistant principal at that time, who had to be the one to have the responsibility of disciplining us and calling us into the office when we did wrong things. But also teachers who had a great impact upon my life. Teachers like Mrs. Cross, Mrs. Hilliard, Mrs. Sharp, Mrs. Wattenbarger, Mrs. Dorflinger, Mrs. Hughes, Mrs. Tilson, Mr. Titsworth, Mrs. Coates, Miss Pesterfield, my French teacher, who I'm sure taught me many things to say in French, but the one I most remember is "que tu es bête." That means how stupid you are. Not that she ever said that to me, but I'm sure she might have thought that quite often, but I still ring with those words regularly as I think about what happened to me here. But most of all, it was coaches who poured into my life not only sports skills, but things that still influence me today in this game called life. Louis Alford, Jim Woodall, Coach Draper, and one of the men who had some of the greatest influence on my life, my basketball coach, Chuck Kondo, who I often heard say, "Don't ask me how good a coach I am now based upon my wins and losses, but ask me 10 years from now when my players are husbands, dads, and hopefully productive men in their world, at that time how good a coach I am." These administrators, teachers, and coaches cared about me as a young man, and also the women who were here, and were not afraid to challenge and expect of us to do our best in every area of life. And I want to say to those of you who are teachers, coaches, and administrators here today, don't ever underestimate the impact and influence you're having on every single student who walks into this particular school. As a matter of fact, I remember Coach Kondo often saying, "I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, must account if I abuse it." A challenge to me to live my life to the fullest. And for those of you who are seniors, I want to challenge you. This year is a great year. Enjoy every moment of it. I know many of you go off campus for those classes that you take at other places, but savor the time that you have here because of the impact that you have upon the younger students. I also think about something that's very, very important in addition to deflecting praise, recognizing that it is others who have made you what you are, not you yourself, and that is to define a purpose in life. But you see, each and every one of you has an incredible opportunity to do something that is bigger than you and that will last longer than your life here upon this world. John F. Kennedy said at one time, "Don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." But today in this global mindset, we could change that a little bit to say, "Don't ask what the world can do for you, but what you can do for this particular world." But one particular coach and teacher that I remember more than anything else was a man named Bill Talley. Bill Talley was a man who was born with arms cut off at his elbows and basically had no legs below his knees. He wrote on a chalkboard by putting a piece of chalk between his elbows. An incredible teacher and coach here. He coached me in Little League Baseball, coached me in basketball and football here. And Bill Talley, whenever Bill Talley said for you to do something, you would never say to him, Coach, I can't do that, because you could look at Bill Talley and everything that he did with the handicaps that he had, you would say in your own heart and mind, I can do that. It's unbelievable to think that we have opportunities to have a purpose in life that is far greater than what you might ever experience or expect. But there will be people who will tell you, you can't do that. And that reminds me of a poem by a man named Edgar A. Guest, and that poem is entitled, It Couldn't Be Done. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he died. So he buckled in with a bit of a grin on his face if he worried he hit it, and he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it. But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin, take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. I promise you that you can do far more than what you could ever hope or expect. And I think of a verse that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Listen to this. All the things the God of this universe wants you to do, you can do through Him. Begin doing these things now. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly more than you ever hope or expect.
Thank you, Jim, for me being the guy to follow the guy that sets the bar extremely high. If I'm downhill after that, I apologize. It is my complete honor to introduce Mr. Scott Hicks, a member of class of 77, perhaps the greatest year, the year I was born as well, as our next Hall of Fame inductee. Mr. Hicks served his community well as a business owner and community leader in the years following his graduation from Cleveland High School. A member of various clubs including Art, Interact, C Club, FCA, Spanish, JCs, and Student Senate, Mr. Hicks also found time to play the greatest sport here, varsity basketball, for 4 years for Coach Chuck Kondo, named captain his senior year. He played the other sports too, varsity football, varsity golf, and taps. His greatest memories from high school range from road trips with the CHS athletic teams, the American History Video Project, a reenactment of a battle scene at an Army camp featuring the Gutter Gang. His senior class trip, a Bahamas cruise, no idea seniors, making the game-winning shot in a basketball game in what is formerly known as the Dome, and representing CHS in a state golf tournament. The Gutter Gang also featured prominently in his high school memories. The years at CHS provided the foundation for the core of Mr. Hicks's character, a character grounded in a genuine concern for everyone in his path. Here he began the journey toward becoming the man whose life was referred to as a life well lived, in character and deed. Mr. Hicks went on to graduate from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga with a BS in business. He was named National Sales Manager for Stanley Industrial Hardware and Salesman of the Year in the appliance industry. Mr. Hicks involved himself heavily in the community organizations such as the Advisory Council for the Lee University Business Department. He was PTO president at Mayfield Elementary, Cleveland Middle School, and Cleveland High School. He supported many local charitable organizations and was a willing helper to any individual in need, evidenced by his membership at First Baptist Church of Cleveland, where he served as a deacon, my Sunday school teacher, member of several committees, leader of numerous Bible studies, and several international mission trips. Mr. Hicks loved Jesus Christ and lived a life of worship and service to his Savior. He was married to Robin Hicks for 33 years and was a proud father of 2 children, David Hicks, class of 2002, and Laura Hicks Harris, class of 2004. As well as grandparent to Brooklyn and Jackson Hicks and Hadley and Hayes Harris. Mr. Hicks passed away in 2013, but he will always be remembered as a true Blue Raider. Speaking on behalf of the Hicks family today is his son, a dear friend of mine, and a fellow Michael Jordan fanatic, David Hicks.
Well, what a privilege to get to follow Jim Gibson. I feel so unprepared. I didn't memorize a poem or anything. But it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Thank all of you. Thank you, selection committee, students. Thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring these alumni with your presence and your attentiveness. It's not unnoticed. Coach McCowan, thank you for that kind introduction. That makes 2 introductions now that Coach has done for members of the Hicks family at this event. Last year, he introduced my aunt, Kelly Bender, when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Most of you know Kelly. Some of you might call her Miss Bender, but most of you probably call her that lady up in the bleachers that's ringing the cowbell. She's the die-hard Blue Raider that comes to every single game with a cowbell and rings that thing so loud you're not sure you'll ever be able to hear again. She loves the Blue Raiders. Our whole family does. Coach McGowan, he's special to our family. He's someone that my dad loved like a son, and because of that, I think of him as a big brother. So thank you, Jason. Well, my name is David Hicks, and on behalf of my mom, my sister, and the rest of my family who are here today, I have the distinct honor of sharing just a few words about my dad, Scott Hicks. My dad was an amazing man. I wish I could tell you all about him this morning. I'd love to tell you about his experience at Cleveland High School as a student, as an athlete, as a member of something called the Gutter Gang. I'd love to tell you about his family, what a wonderful father and husband he was, how much he loved us, how much he sacrificed for us, how he coached all of our Little League teams and never missed one game or concert or performance or recital. I'd love to spend a little time talking about his success as an entrepreneur, about his ability to identify business opportunities and capitalize on them, about his tenacity and persistence and his ability to get things done, about how he and his family created jobs for many people in our town. I'd love to tell you how much my dad loved this school, about how many Cleveland games he took us to growing up, the football three-peat, the basketball state championship, and countless others, about how he gave time and money to make sure Cleveland High School was as good as it could be. I'd love to talk to you about how much he loved his church, how he taught Sunday school classes and Bible studies, how he served on various teams and committees, how he gave generously time and money to mission efforts and other worthy causes, and above all, how desperately he wanted the people around him to know the love and grace of Jesus Christ. But we don't have time for all that this morning. So instead, here's what I want to say. Just over 1 year ago, my dad died, suddenly and unexpectedly. At his funeral, over 3,000 people showed up. People stood in line for hours and hours waiting to see our family, not because of anything we'd done, not anything we'd done special, but because they loved my dad. We received hundreds of cards, thousands of calls, and more Facebook posts and messages than I can count. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like the outpouring of love that our family experienced when Dad passed away. So I've had a year now to think and reflect on Dad's life and consider what in the world he could have done to have impacted the lives of so many people. Lots of people knew Dad, but he wasn't famous. He was smart, but he never published any papers or wrote any books. He was relatively successful, but not extraordinarily wealthy. He was a leader, but he wasn't especially powerful. So why is it that thousands and thousands of people showed up to pay their respects to this man? After a year of reflection, here's the conclusion that I've come to. These thousands and thousands of people showed up at Dad's funeral for one simple reason: because he loved them. In 1,000 different ways, on 1,000,000 different occasions, my dad loved people. He talked to them. He laughed with them. He listened to them. He prayed for them. He gave to them. He helped them with their problems. Very simply, Dad loved the people around him, and at his funeral, we saw the evidence that they loved him back. Since Dad died, several organizations have done things to honor him, and we've been asked from time to time whether there were any quotes or sayings that Dad used frequently, something that sort of summarized who he was. I hadn't been able to think of anything until I started preparing for today, and then it hit me. There were a couple of phrases I heard my dad say more than any others. Here they are. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And how can I help? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. How can I help? Time and time again, I heard my dad call people sir or ma'am, especially when they were older than he was. Young or old, though, Dad called people sir or ma'am. His parents taught him to do that, but he didn't stop when he grew up. And here's why. It wasn't because he was super formal. It wasn't because he had especially good manners. It was because Dad respected people, from the most important person to the least important, from the CEO to the janitor, from the guy in the mansion to the guy living on the street, black or white, Democrat or Republican, rich or poor, Christian or atheist, it didn't matter. Dad respected people, and he showed that respect by smiling kindly, looking them in the eye, and calling them sir or ma'am. Such a simple thing, but in our world where sarcasm and cynicism are rampant, it's so powerful. You'd be surprised how far a smile and a yes sir or a yes ma'am can get you in this world. Seriously. It's so easy and it makes such a difference. Try it. I dare you to try it. If you want to stand out from your peers, if you want to make an impression on the people that can help you, start smiling a little more, look people in the eye, and say yes sir or yes ma'am. I know it sounds silly. You might even think it sounds childish, but I'm telling you, the people around you desperately want to be respected. Maybe more than anything else. And if you're the people that shows them that respect, whether they deserve it or not, it's going to make a difference for you. It did for my dad. But Dad didn't just respect people, he loved them. Here's how I know that he loved them. He asked everyone he met this simple question: how can I help? See, Dad wasn't just a friendly guy. He didn't just smile, say hello, and go on his way. He got involved in the lives of the people around him. Every day, wherever he was, whomever he was with, he asked people about their lives. He listened to their problems and he asked, how can I help? And when he heard the answer, he did whatever he could do to help. He gave money, he gave time, he made phone calls, he arranged introductions, he helped people find work, find homes, get into school, whatever they needed, Dad did his best to help. Can you imagine what might happen if you started asking that question every single day? What can I do to help? That's a scary question, isn't it? When we ask that question, it makes demands on our time, on our money, on our popularity, our status, maybe even our safety. But I think that if Scott Hicks were here today, he would tell you that without a doubt, the things that brought him the most meaning in life began with that simple question: how can I help? Start asking that question, students, and you'll be amazed at the opportunities that come your way. Start asking the people around you how you can help them with their problems, how you can help them reach their goals, and you'll quickly discover that the more people you help achieve their dreams, the more people will want to help you achieve yours. And somewhere along the way, you'll realize that the best parts of your life had nothing to do with your dreams or your aspirations, how successful or famous you were, how much money you made, or what kind of cars you drove. You'll realize that the greatest satisfaction you can have in this life comes from helping other people. I think my dad learned that lesson a long, long time ago, and he lived his life by it. How can I help? I dare you to ask that question today. Ask a friend, ask a coach. If you're really brave, ask your parents. And then ask tomorrow and the next day and the next and see what happens. You might not turn out to be the richest person in your class. You might not go pro in that sport you love. You might not get that dream job, but I'm willing to bet that if you'll start asking this question, you'll experience more joy and peace and meaning than you ever could have otherwise. And at the end of your life, maybe people will say of you, as thousands of people have said of Scott Hicks, his was a life well lived. Thank you, and go Blue Raiders.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Hicks Bender, the lady that rings the cowbell, and a proud member of the class of 1978 at Cleveland High School. I am privileged today to introduce the second favorite Scott that I had in the class of 1977, Mr. Scott Kress, affectionately known as String. to our Hall of Fame class of 77. From the halls of CHS to the Fortune 500 companies, Mr. Kress is currently the implementation manager of Human US. Mr. Kress's high school years were filled with tennis matches, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, gatherings, junior JCs, drama club, and art club meetings. Mr. Kress is a part of the storied tradition of Blue Raider life. He remembers going door to door with his mother, getting signatures for a petition to build Cleveland High School. His oldest brother made the march from Arnold onto a dirt road called Raider Drive as Cleveland High School opened its doors in 1967. His greatest memory from high school was a senior trip, cruise to the Bahamas. Cleveland left a lasting impact on Mr. Kress in forming of a lifelong relationships that were formed with classmates and teachers. He had teachers who not only pushed him academically, but also took an interest in him personally. Mr. Kress credits CHS having prepared him for the next stage of his life. Upon graduating from Cleveland, Mr. Kress attained a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Advertising from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. He worked for 3 Fortune 500 companies in his professional career: Maytag Corporation, Xerox Corporation, and for Unum for the past 13 years. Mr. Kress also served Cleveland High School for over 10 years as a basketball announcer. It is my privilege to introduce to you Scott String Kress, class of 1977.
May God receive all the glory for this award and this honor that's been bestowed upon me. I'm very humbled and honored to be standing before you today. I've been overwhelmed by all the congratulatory compliments that I've received since it was announced that I would be receiving this award. What I do find humorous, though, is most of the folks that have complimented me jokingly added the question, "How did you get in, String?" While I outwardly smile at their playful sense of humor, I have to admit that I found myself asking myself the same question: how did I get in? When I think of all the great men and women that have walked these halls, it just humbles me so much. I'll never forget this moment for as long as I live. So thank you to the committee, to Ms. O'Brien, Dr. Ringstaff, and for everybody else that had a part in making this honor possible. Ms. O'Brien sent me a information packet regarding this ceremony. She stated that she wanted me to use this time to talk about my high school days. Well, due to the fact that my pastor, Jim Gibson, is sitting right back here, and I see a judge sitting right out here, and there's other dignitaries, I feel like it'd be best if I left my high school days back where I left them in 1977. Can I get an amen? Amen. Amen. But I will share a couple things with you about high school. First of all, I want to squash a rumor. I heard rumors going around that I claimed that the best 4 years of my life was the 2nd grade. That is not true. Okay, it was the 4th grade. But no, seriously, the best 4 years of my life was spent here at Cleveland High. I mean, I still tell people today, when I look back, I really enjoyed Cleveland High School, from the friendships to the teachers, and even today, the friendships that I even have with the teachers that mentored me when I was here. The second thing is I've often told people that if our senior class had to adopt a song that best personified who we were, I don't think our senior class could have done that in 1977 because we were so diverse. We were all over. I think if we did that, we probably would have voted for 2 songs. The first one would have been Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, and the other one probably would have been AC/DC's Highway to Hell. But Jim, I just want you to know, I would have voted for Just a Closer Walk with Thee, okay? Okay. So, then, I've got a little bone to pick right here, so bear with me. I was told by what I thought was a reliable source that part of this ceremony was that Dr. Ringstaff was going to announce that the Raider Dome was going to be changed to the string dome. I was excited. I was sort of fired up about it, and I thought, well, it'd be a good idea for me to come down to Cleveland High, take a picture of myself in front of the new string dome, and just to send to family and friends. So I've never taken a selfie before, so I had to Google instructions. So I printed off those instructions, and so I came down here and I stood on Raider Drive, and I fixed my camera just like it was supposed to be done, and then the instructions said, pose, put the selfie pose on. Strike the selfie pose. I don't know if y'all know what a selfie pose is, but this is the best I could remember. Let me see. You stick your hip out, you put your hand on your hip, you bend your leg, and then you pucker your lips like a duck-billed platypus. It wasn't easy for me to do all that at the same time, not to mention the distractions of all the cars driving by, honking their horns, saying not so positive things to me. But I got the picture taken, and when I looked at the picture, everything was perfect, except for one thing. There was no dome. So I saw a man standing there in a hard hat, and I went up and I said, "Excuse me, sir, what'd you do with the dome?" And he said, "Dr. Ringstaff ordered us to tear it down." As you can imagine what I was thinking, I'd be like, oh no he didn't. You wrecked my dream. He tore my heart out and stomped that sucker flat. I don't think I know that man anymore. But I'd like to leave you with a challenge. And this challenge has to do with the greatest resource that we each have. And that resource is time. Unlike money, we can't make, save, or earn more time. As a matter of fact, we're not even guaranteed another breath. So there was a American business author by the name of Michael LaBeouf once said, if you waste money, all you've lost is your money. But if you waste time, then you've lost part of your life. So it's imperative that we make the most of the time we have. Keeping that in mind, my challenge to you as far as your time is, as you go through life, I want to challenge you to please make an effort to give of your time and effort to help people and to make this world a better place. One of the world's greatest caregivers of the poor, Mother Teresa, once said, "We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, or homeless. But the poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty." Let's start today and help end such poverty. Let's make a difference in people's lives and make this world a better place. In closing, thanks again to Ms. O'Brien, to the selection committee, and to Dr. Ringstaff, and a special thanks to the faculty and staff here at Cleveland High School, most importantly, you, the students, because when I read the paper and I see on television the great things that you're doing, it makes me proud to be able to proudly proclaim that it's a great day to be a Raider. God bless, and thank you.
It's my privilege to introduce Mr. Bill Crump, our Hall of Fame inductee who represents the class of 1984. Once a state-ranked wrestler, currently the safety manager and international captain pilot flying in the Gulfstream 450, 550, and 650 for Qualcomm Incorporated, Mr. Crump is a highly decorated Navy serviceman. Mr. Crump was active in student government, was an honors student at Cleveland High School. He also had a very successful wrestling career, honored as captain and winning district champion twice, region runner-up twice, and earning 4th in the state. Mr. Crump states that no other single institution will have a more vested interest in your future and successes than the teachers, coaches, and staff of Cleveland High School. Mr. Crump enlisted in the U.S. Navy upon graduation from CHS. After recruitment training, he attended Officer Selection and Training Program at Naval Training Center, San Diego. He gained a Bachelor of Aviation Management degree with high honors from Auburn University, earning various honors and positions during his time there. His aviation career began in 1991 when he was designated a naval aviator, alternating between flight officer positions with United Airlines, flying Boeing 737s and 767s, as a reservist and active duty assignments. Mr. Crump spent most of the 2000s in the cockpit of a plane. He served in Operation Enduring Freedom and Noble Eagle, was elected to be an air interdiction agent with the Department of Homeland Security, and was promoted to commanding officer, where he led his squadron on 28 international detachments and multiple humanitarian missions. In 2010, Mr. Crump was assigned to the Chief of Naval Air Forces Pacific, where he was promoted to his current rank of captain. Mr. Crump's honors are numerous and include the Navy Meritorious Service Medal, Navy Commendation Medal, 3 awards, the Navy Achievement Medal, 3 awards, and is most proud of the Battle E he earned with his fellow shipmates. Mr. Crump established an annual Make-A-Wish event at his former Navy Squadron VR-57. He also volunteers as a cycling therapist with Naval Hospital San Diego, working with recovering wounded warriors, as well as for the Wounded EOD Warrior Foundation. Mr. Crump is married to Carol Crump, and they have called San Diego, California, their home for over 16 years, where they live with their dog, Callie. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce a former student, Mr. Bill Crump.
And good morning, and thank you for the kind words. And I also want to thank Turner for his hospitality this morning when I showed up. So if you take anything away from those remarks, quite confusing, but there is not a straight path to reaching your goals. And the fact that a pilot will do almost anything to keep flying. I'm proud to look across the room and see the flag of our great nation, and I would just like to take this opportunity to ask that all of our veterans that are with us today to accept our appreciation. So if you would please stand so we can applaud those who have worn the uniform. I know one out there. I do believe and I know that we would not be here today without your sacrifices. So I personally thank you. When I had the opportunity to see the list of the accomplishments of my peers and the group from last year, it was slightly intimidating. Nevertheless, the reality is something that we have all in common and something we share with all the students here today, and that is the spirit of a Blue Raider. Let me tell you this, you will have the same tools and the same excellent education I had when I graduated here back in 1984. When I think about my 27 years in the Navy and the education I received at Auburn University, I had some incredible mentors and leaders that provided me with guidance. But the reality is, if I try to name more than 5 or 6 of them, it would be challenging. Nevertheless, I can name almost every teacher I had here at Cleveland High School. The Terry and Dolores Hicksons, the Alice Hamiltons, the Wilma Crosses, the Bill Ingrams, the Linda Lemons, the Coach Al Millers, the Coach Johnny Borders, Coach Dwayne Bunches, and one more teacher, my mother, Olivia Crump. No other single institution will have a more vested interest in your future and your success than these teachers, coaches, and the staff of Cleveland High School. In closing, I'd like to offer some simple guidance I was given a few years ago by one of my squadron master chiefs. 3 simple pieces of advice. He shared that with me this in an email. Congratulations on becoming the commanding officer of VR-57. I know you've worked extremely hard over the years on behalf of the command. Early in my career, I had a CO who left us with the following statement. Take care of your business, take care of yourselves, take care of your family, and take care of business. I'm sure you will do nothing less than an outstanding job here as a squadron, meeting the squadron's success and meeting the needs of the Navy. Now, this advice really resonated with me. Take care of yourself. Although you're going to have many people in your life that want to see you succeed and give you the opportunities to do so, no one is more responsible for your success than you. Your parents and your family love you. Your friends and your teammates, they support you. But at the end of the day, you have to make it happen. Take care of your family. Well, this is something that's instilled about those of us that have served in the military. Whether it's your personal family or your coworkers, a chain is only strong as its weakest link. Be that type of person that can be counted on and be trusted. And the last and the most important key, take care of business. Now, what does this mean? This means that each and every job you do is a self-portrait of yourself, a reflection. This summer, we unfortunately lost one of America's greatest baseball players, Mr. Padre Tony Gwynn. He once said, "You cannot live on what you did yesterday, but you have to go out and prove yourself every day." Now, there's something, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big baseball fan, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Tony Gwynn had 8 batting titles, or he had 15 All-Star Game appearances, or he even had an unprecedented first ballot Hall of Fame induction. But what those of us remember were his intangible qualities. His passion for the sport, his ever-present smile. That's what made him such an enduring figure to the sport. Work hard, play hard, have fun. That's what it's all about. Make your self-portrait resemble the work and product that you would proudly take ownership in. I truly appreciate this recognition, but the reality is this is an honor that I've had for some 30 years, the pride and distinction of being a Blue Raider. Thank you. God bless.
There are some people in life that you are just blessed to know, and they encourage you every time you see them and you're in their presence. One of those people is Mrs. Ardanya Lathan. She graduated from Cleveland High School in 1984. From the color guard to the business world, Ms. Lathan has enjoyed an illustrious career in the banking industry over the past 29 years, all of it in our local community. Mrs. Lathan was a member of the color guard as well as being a varsity cheerleader. She also served as the manager of the girls basketball team her entire years in high school. Athletics was not the only part of Mrs. Lathan's involvement. She was a member of the student government committees during her sophomore, junior, and senior years. The magnetism of Blue Raider pride is apparent in Mrs. Lathan's greatest memories of Cleveland High School. She enjoyed cheering on the state championship game against Brentwood Academy, I believe that, during her junior year. She liked the Bradley Cleveland Week, the pep rallies, and the marching band trips. Mrs. Lathan emphasizes the relationship she formed with teachers and classmates as making a permanent impact on her, because in life, you never know how one word, one hug, or one act of kindness, or one person may impact you. Mrs. Joyce Ann Warren was her biggest shero. A 1987 graduate of Cleveland State, a 1997 graduate of Tennessee Wesleyan College with a BS in Business Administration and General Management. Mrs. Lathan also graduated from Vanderbilt University's Southeastern School of Banking in 1998. She has earned numerous awards in her field, including the $1 Million Club in 2013. That's what I've read to you about her. That's what the business world knows about her. But we know her as a community involvement person. She has volunteered countless hours. She's given of herself. She walks with integrity, and she's just a great woman of God. She volunteers in the classroom with junior achievement. She gives of herself. She gives good advice. She tells young people how to save money, and it pays off. She's just a person that we talk about around our dinner table quite often. When my husband serves on the committees with her, he always comes home and says, "You know something else about her you didn't know?" And now I can tell them a few more things about her that I know. She's just a great person to know, Mrs. Latham.
After that speech, I'm telling you, she's out halfway teared me up here. But first of all, giving glory to God, who is the head of my life and my Savior. It is a privilege to be here. I'm very honored. I'm very humbled. And all the things she said, I just feel like I'm just an ordinary person, just like you are. I could go on and talk about all the different memories I've had at Cleveland High School, from my most embarrassing moment as a cheerleader. And a lot of people may not know, but we used to have the wooden bleachers where the Benny Monroe Stadium is located at now. As cheerleaders, our job during the Bradley and Cleveland week was to paint the bleachers. So during those times, the Blue Raider field had the actual fence around the field, and I was the small, cute, petite, tiny little cheerleader that had to jump the fence. So one of my most embarrassing moments, I didn't want to share it, but I guess I'll go ahead and make you laugh, was that I had to jump the fence. Well, in jumping the fence, the little short legs did not work very well. So the little shorts got stuck on the fence. So I had the privilege of standing there in my underwear, hung on the fence, waiting for the football players to come and grab me off. So, with all that being said, you know, high school, you have great memories from being a cheerleader, to have the privilege of being in the marching band, to tour with such great leadership under Creel Higgins, Ron Peace, Eddie Freitag. You have great teachers. You know, I want to leave an impact with the students more than anything. And one teacher I have got to recognize. I love Miss Martha Wattenberger. I love Miss Wilma Cross. I love all the teachers. But Miss Joyce Ann Warren, she was not only my teacher, she was my friend. She was my motivator. She was my customer in the business world. She was my encourager. So when I left the walls here at Cleveland High School, I remember her calling me my first year at Cleveland State. She said, "Hey, Adonia, do you want a part-time job?" I said, "Miss Warren," I said, "I don't have time for that." I said, "What do you mean I want a part-time job?" She said, "Go over to Cleveland Bank and Trust and fill out an application." I said, "Miss Warren," I said, "I'll go, but I don't think I'm ready to work part-time yet because I'm too busy in college." She said, "Go on over there, they'll hire you." So I get over there and thinking I was going to just fill out an application. But one of the things Miss Warren did in her classroom, and at her memorial service, she stated this in her words. Well, one of her family members did, I'm sorry. But she said that whether or not you go to college, she will prepare you for life in her classroom, and that's what she did do. So whether I was a college student or did not attend college, I knew that when I left Cleveland High School, I was ready for life. So going back to my interview, Miss Warren said, "Well, go ahead and fill out the application." So I get there, and the lady says, "Ma'am, we want to interview you today." I said, No, we can't do that." She said, "Why not?" I said, "Oh, Miss Warren would just kill me." I said, "I'm not dressed. I'm not prepared. I have jeans on. I have a sweatshirt on." I said, "If you give me 15 minutes, I'll go home, change my clothes, and I'll come back and give you a good interview." I said, "But if she knew I came here with these jeans on, she would just have a fit." But to make a long story short, what I'm trying to say to all the students here is you never know who are you connected with in your high school years. The person you're sitting next to, maybe your next Bill Crump, or maybe your next Bill Gibson. You never know who that person is, so stay connected with as much people as you can. Always remember the little things, whether it's a smile or a hug or that teacher just coming by and say, "Hey, how are you today?" It makes a difference in your lives. Never forget the impact your teachers, your coworkers, your coaches, faculty and staff have with you in your life. Before I close, I do want to recognize two special people in my life. One is my mother, if she'll please stand, Miss Merle Johnson. And the reason I'm recognizing her is because society will tell you that most single women do not have successful kids. Well, my mother raised 3 beautiful girls by herself because my father passed away at the age of 33. The second person I want to recognize is Mr. Bob Warren. He's my special guest today, which is the husband, Miss Ann Warren. And in wholehearted honesty, you know, even when I got my job at Cleveland Bank and Trust, she actually moved her account to Cleveland Bank and Trust. She says it was because of the checks, because they didn't have rainbow checks at where she banked, but I know better. I knew she loved me that much to come to be a customer of mine at the same time. To the students, I do want to leave you with Proverbs 3:1-6. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Wrap them on the table of thine heart, so that they shall not find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. So again, in closing, thank you to the committee, to Mrs. Autumn O'Brien, to the faculty and staff, to the nominating committee for this privilege to receive the Emmy Awards of Cleveland High School. And to the Cleveland High School football team, if you lose tonight, I'm going to be a very upset alumni. Go Raiders, beat McMinn County.
And I'll bring them back to you. That'll be just fine. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Riggins. From the class of 1989, Colonel Kurt Pritchard is a United States Air Force healthcare executive currently serving as the CEO and commander of the 20th Medical Group. He is based at Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina. Colonel Pritchard was a student who was active in many activities at Cleveland High School. In his high school years, from academic contests to Tennessee Tomorrow. He was very involved in the arts as a member of the CHS drumline and the concert band and a thespian. Colonel Pritchard enjoyed roles in the fall plays, class playoffs, and the spring musicals. The band trips and competitions, honors classes, and fun times with friends inside and outside of the classroom are the greatest high school memories for Colonel Pritchard. His time at Cleveland High provided lessons such as the value and importance of teamwork, the positive results of self-discipline and a strong work ethic, and the need for self-confidence, but not overconfidence. Colonel Pritchard obtained a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from the University of Tennessee, a Master of Health Administration from Baylor University, and is board certified and a Fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives. He holds the honor of having been the first U.S. Air Force officer selected to serve as administrator of the White House Medical Unit. And I may pause here, and maybe I need to have him have a look at my leg before he leaves. Colonel Pritchard was also awarded a Bronze Star Medal for deployed service as administrator of Craig Joint Theater Hospital on the Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. Colonel Pritchard is blessed with an amazing wife and 4 beautiful children. And as a teacher who never had Colonel Pritchard in class, he is one of the students that I will personally remember as outstanding and one of my favorites. I'm proud to present Colonel Kurt Pritchard. That's okay.
What's up, y'all?
You know, just taking a tip from last year's induction ceremony, I happened to be right smack in the middle of the inductees here, and so I would say that you might appreciate an opportunity to stand and just stretch your legs. That was my way of getting a standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dent, for the introduction. Her way of sharing with you how I went from being in the Cleveland High School blue to being a part of the Air Force blue. Former President John F. Kennedy once stated, "Leadership and learning are indispensable of each other." I certainly know that has been true in my life, and the real development of both began for me right here in the halls of Cleveland High School. My educational foundation was poured, upon which the past 25 years have been built. If you'd asked me then where I'd be now, I would never have imagined that I'd be standing before you, proudly wearing the uniform as an American Airman. And I can tell you that my teachers, with the mullet that I sported and the mustache that I had, wouldn't think that I would be standing here as an American Airman either. Ladies and gentlemen, the nomination committee, past and present faculty members, and most importantly, the student body of Cleveland High School, thank you for this tremendous honor. I'm truly humbled to be selected among this group of amazing alumni. It is only by God's grace and His influential work through others in my life that I stand before you today. I am truly a man blessed beyond measure. Members of the student body, today's event is about each and every one of you. It's a time for you to consider your passion, to commit to its pursuit, and chase it purposefully. But don't be fooled, success in life is not a solo event. You've likely heard that team means together everyone achieves more. That's not just a cliche, that's reality. Relationships matter, and you should choose your friends wisely. For me, the discipline of the drumline and the teamwork of theater, coupled with my academic experience, taught me valuable lessons upon which I still rely. For you, it's likely a different combination of experiences that will shape you into tomorrow's leader. The point is to capitalize on the education that you're receiving and recognizing that the more you learn, the more you'll realize how much more there is to learn. You know that you're receiving exceptional instruction here. I echo some remarks that were made earlier, that when I look back on my college years and think about who my professors were, I couldn't name them. But I tell you what, the teachers that I had here at Cleveland High School were the best in the world. I could try to name them all. I think between Jim Gibson and Bill Crump, they may have covered them. I would certainly miss some if I tried. The Blue Raider norms that you guys live by, they're right back there on the wall, and I've seen them on your website as well. For environment, learning, and respect, remind me of Air Force core values of integrity first, service before self, and an excellence in all we do. Such guiding principles are important, and I encourage you to embody them. Finally, remember that it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. Bridge differences and build confidence in others. Treat everyone with dignity, without regard for what they can or can't do for you. Be selfless and dependable. In closing, I will share with you, whether it was during my time serving at the White House in the President Bush administration, or my time serving in Afghanistan in conflict, those who are in my personal Hall of Fame are those who are servant leaders, who place their own personal interests beneath the interests of those whom they served. Scott Hicks, how can I help? That's exactly like retired Brigadier General Richard Tubb. He was physician to the President and the White House Medical Unit Director when I served there. He was responsible for the health of the leader of the free world, the health of the President of the United States. But you know, it wasn't how well he interacted with the President and the First Family that impressed me. It was how well he treated everyone else with the same humble approach. From the groundskeepers to the custodial staff to the members of cabinet and our commander-in-chief, all of them receive the same personalized treatment because they all matter. Students of CHS, all of you matter. Strive for selfless service, Raider Nation, and you will make a positive difference in the life of others. Thank you very much.
Our next Hall of Fame honoree is Dr. Bradley M. Green. He was a member of the Blue Raider class of 1990. Dr. Green is a long way from the pitching mound of Raider Field, where he spent many hours as a high school student. He currently resides in Knoxville, Tennessee, where he is an engineering consultant. Dr. Green, while at CHS, was involved in Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Model United Nations. He also was a member of the football and baseball teams and remembers pitching and beating a much heralded Bradley team twice on their home field during his senior year. Cleveland High School played a key role in establishing the solid academic foundation that Dr. Green still builds on today. Teachers here cared about my learning and taught me how to learn, a much more important skill than just acquiring knowledge, Dr. Green states. A member of 2 SEC championship baseball teams, his baseball did not stop at Cleveland High School. A member of 2 SEC championship baseball teams at the University of Tennessee, Dr. Green made the last pitch of his career in the College World Series in Omaha in 1995. He graduated from the University of Tennessee with a bachelor's, a master's, and doctorate in industrial engineering. Dr. Green has worked for Nissan North America. He founded and grew a consulting practice focusing on innovation in organization and system design for business and nonprofit organizations. Dr. Green has also done work on social innovation projects in areas such as homeless service systems and citywide marriage initiatives. He has a beautiful wife, Julie, who is also a CHS alumni, and 3 amazing children, Hannah, Jacob, and Sarah Catherine. I am honored to present to you Dr. Bradley Green.
Well, as Colonel Pritchard said, we're halfway through this, and I know that it's probably getting a little long, but I'm going to have to echo everything that's been said to this point. It's amazing to stand here before you. It's amazing standing here before the students. It's amazing standing here before the teachers, and very, very humbling to be here. When you listen to somebody talk about your life the way Ms. Henley did, it sounds really good on paper. Sometimes you're not sure how you got to those places. But when something happens like this, and you're forced to reflect, right? You're forced to sit back and think. When you guys, you seniors, the night before probably or the week before you graduate, you're going to be thinking about kindergarten. You're going to be thinking about the teachers that influenced you there, and that's what all of us are doing here today. I came with some notes and things that I was going to share, and then as I got here, I wasn't prepared when I pulled up for what I was going to see. First of all, I didn't know how to get in. I didn't know how to get in the building because everything was different. A couple of things that weren't on this that I need to state that kind of helps you understand my story a little bit was I had the wonderful privilege of going to the high school where my father happened to be the principal, which is a blessing and a curse. It was more blessing. It was all blessing. But Doug Reed was my principal, and so I have I guess maybe a little different perspective of my high school years as maybe others do, because of just hearing things around the dinner table and seeing how things took shape. So when I pulled up today, like I said, I had some things prepared. I'm going a little off script because I was so struck by the changes that have been made. In what I do professionally now is it's hard to describe, but what I have the honor to do, I'm a weird engineer. For those of you who are getting ready to go into college, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Well, I tried to figure out what I wanted to do. Even though I got a doctorate in industrial engineering, I didn't want to be an industrial engineer. How crazy is that? But I had figured out along the way who I am and why I'm here. Jim Gibson talked about purpose, and that's been a journey of mine, is figuring out why. And most engineers, if those of you who go into that, most engineers are typically asking the question, how? They're driven by how this machine works, how this piece of equipment works, how to build something. And the reason that I'm a strange engineer is because I'm more interested in the question, why? Why would we build this machine to begin with? Why does this organization exist? I come into organizations and I have the privilege of sitting across from a leader of an organization whose organization has drifted away from where it started. And the first question we ask is, what was the purpose? Why does this organization exist? Why does it need to, what is its intended purpose to do in the world? So that's the engineering. So what I was struck by when I walked up today was that question, why? Why are we here? Why are we here? Why are you here? And with each one of these folks that have shared from their own experience, that question kept ringing in my head. And so I just want to share a little bit of what I'm seeing in terms of that why, and then I want to take it to where I think what that could mean to you, what that means to you who are getting ready to go play football tonight and represent the Raiders the way that I was blessed to do back in 1989 and 90, or yeah. One of my favorite favorite things to think about is this, when it comes to this question, why, is when I wake up every day in this country, I get to go the places that I get to go. If you ask that question why and you go far enough back, it started with some pretty rough but idealistic men who literally locked themselves in a room for about 3 months in the heat of summer to carve out the Constitution of the United States. And literally every second of every day, you get to do something, I get to do something that was a direct impact of decisions and battles that were fought in that room to create the structure upon which we continue to live today. The same exact thing has happened that's led to the building we're in, the buildings we are in. It started with, even before the walk to the school, which just blows me away that these guys got to walk to the first school. There had to be a group of people that came together and said, we need this school, and we need this school to do something and be something different. And then what's amazing to me as we listen to the history here is you see that wasn't just a one-time group of people. It's been handed off to a next group of people. And it's been handed off to the next group of people. It was handed off to the teachers that taught me, the teachers that inspired me, the teachers that laid the foundation for me to do, the coaches that created the environment for which I could become everything that God had put in me in terms of potential as an athlete. The teachers that drove me to try to be the best writer, the best thinker that I could be. So what I was just blown away with as I walked across what used to be the road where the buses went, which is now this beautiful commons area, is the series of handoffs and decisions that were made with integrity and honor and that spirit of Blue Raider time after time. And we can look around our nation, we can look around our state even, and we can see communities where that handoff was bungled and the baton was dropped and people's lives were affected for years to come. So when I ask the question, why? When I ask the question, why are you guys getting ready to run out on the field and honestly carry on the tradition that David Beckler started, that I got to carry on? Why are we coming to the game tonight and celebrating? Why does Kelly Bender show up every week with her cowbell? It's because of not one person. It's because of a community of people who have continually handed off that integrity and honor and have made decisions on your behalf, on my behalf, that just blows me away. So just as much as those men that sacrificed that summer in 1775 or 6 that forged our Constitution, I do know that 1776 is when the Declaration of Independence. Not sure exactly when they forged that Constitution. So Coach Shaw, you can reprimand me later. But just like those men, we've got a community. This community has handed off from one another. So my challenge to you as seniors is you've got a lot of responsibility. You've got a lot of responsibility to take the handoff, and do with it what the rest of these folks have done. And that's my challenge to you. I thank you again just for the honor of being here. I know that every time and every space there's a reason. As I said, I always ask the question why, and I feel like today one of the reasons I'm here was maybe to ask the question why, for us to explore. So thank you for everything.
Miss Karen Hall, class of 1990, is well known to the athletic and academic institution of Cleveland City Schools. She serves today as an instructional facilitator at Stewart Elementary School. Her greatest memory best sums up her involvement with the Cleveland High School, the numerous and wonderful opportunities to wear Cleveland on the jersey. She wore those jerseys for the basketball team, the very first girls soccer team, and the tennis team. Ms. Hall was also a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Student Government, and Key Club. Many doors were opened to Ms. Hall after graduation, and she sees them as a direct reflection of her time here at CHS. She believes that receiving a full scholarship to the University of Tennessee Knoxville to be a manager for Pat Summitt and the Lady Vols was an incredible opportunity that never would have happened without the support and encouragement from the CHS staff. A 1994 graduate of UTK, Ms. Hall obtained her Master's of Arts in Teaching from Carson Newman in 1996, as well as a Master's from Lincoln Memorial University. She's had a very successful teaching career, completing 8 years in the second and third grade classrooms at Stewart Elementary, and now serving at school as an instructional facilitator. Ms. Hall is married to fellow CHS graduate, my dad, Mac Hall, class of 1987, and mom to me, CHS freshman Reagan, and my brother Tripp, a third grader at Stewart.
I am not one who likes surprises, and I had no clue that she was
introducing me, as I'm sure you weren't surprised well. Good morning, class of 2015. This is an honor. But is honor really the word? Humbling, overwhelming, too good to be true, unbelievable. When Dr. Ringstaff found me at Stewart last May to let me know that I would be joining the second Hall of Fame class, I was at first shocked. I went through my own personal stages of thankfulness. So many others deserve to be here with me and beside me. And so how can I express gratitude to those who have loved me, taught me, worked with me, coached beside me, and cherished Cleveland like me? I can't, other than say thank you. And then I realized I'd be talking to you, Cleveland High School student body. What to say to kiddos who are about to step out of their own comfort zone and look at life through a different lens. We were all in your shoes not too long ago. In fact, I feel like I was in high school just yesterday. So I embrace the phrase, some days are long, but the years are short. No doubt I am a Blue Raider. If you were to cut me, I would bleed blue. My closet is dominated by blue clothing. We speak in my family of the school across town as the nasty school, or we play in the nasty gym. We don't use the B word. When I got a new car, before I ever sat in the driver's seat, I put my C sticker on the back and I put my Cleveland tag on the front. This place is very special to me. I have joked that when I die, I'm donating me to Cleveland High School. You can stuff me, stick me in the gym lobby. I am your Lady Raider. I'll never forget when Coach Moore called to tell me that I would never watch another game in the Dome. The wonderful memories that were made either wearing the blue or coaching on the sidelines overwhelmed me. I have my jersey that I wore when I played here. It still fits. I have the original wooden bleachers that my parents sat in faithfully to watch my sister and I play basketball. I have the bricks from renovation. I have pieces of the floor. The Dome will always be a special part of me. I'm very excited to see how the students will embrace the new gym. I love being on the sidelines and seeing the creative ways that you show your school spirit. Fellow alumni, if you've not been back for a game in a few years, tonight you will be surprised. These students know how to show their school spirit. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I do know that blue and white smoke is usually involved and there are confetti cannons going off. Blue Raiders, tonight, I will enjoy watching you fight for another victory. I'm going to keep it simple for you today, students. Actually, being an elementary school teacher, I'm going to spell it out for you. I'm going to spell the Raiders. With the R, you need to be real. Be yourself. Why try to fit in when you were born to stand out? Your A is for your attitude. Keep your attitude in check. Maintain a positive outlook in life. My kids hear this all the time. Life's not fair. Deal with it with a good attitude. For the I, you need to be involved. There is a place for you here and there's a place for you in the world. Get involved. Find it. With the D, I say dream and dream big. The job you might hold someday has not even been created. You can't steal second base if your foot is on first. Take the risk and go for it. E is for education. Appreciate your teachers, just as you've heard all of us say. Invite them to your graduation and your weddings. We want to hear from you. We want to rejoice with you in your celebration. For the R, you are a role model. You have people watching you. Rise to the occasion and set the positive example. Be respectful and honorable. And finally, the S, surround. Surround yourself with people who will make you be a better person, a better friend, a better son or daughter. We are the Raiders. We have each other's back. We lift each other up. We walk with dignity and we live with pride. We set high expectations. We compete to be the best at everything. We are the Raiders. I am so thankful that I get to hear the motto because it is so very true. It is a great day to be a Raider.
It is my honor to introduce our next Hall of Fame inductee, Mrs. Tracy Dunn Fant, class of 1991. Today, Mrs. Fant is employed in our local community as an attorney, a career for which she prepared through Governor's School, Girls State, SGA, and other CHS organizations. A recipient of many superlatives and honors during her high school career, including Homecoming Court, Governor's School, Girls State, Cleveland and Tennessee's Junior Miss 1991, Raider Scholar, Most Likely to Succeed, Most Popular, and this Miss CHS also found time to serve as SGA Vice President and as a member of Anchor Club and National Honor Society. Mrs. Fant was a cheerleader during all 4 years of high school, cheering for both the basketball and football team. As her greatest memory of high school, Mrs. Fant fondly remembers the act of kindness shown to her by alumnus of Cleveland High, a family friend who helped her prepare for the State Junior Miss program. She arranged interviews with community leaders and others in order to practice for the Tennessee State Junior Miss. This selfless act taught Mrs. Fant that she should always give herself and ask for nothing in return. Mrs. Fant feels that Cleveland High School prepared her for both the successes and disappointments that life would bring her. The passion of each teacher led her to take in as much possible from each of her professors, and her social relationships emphasized the importance of surrounding yourself with positive individuals. Most importantly, staff and teachers showed the importance of caring for others in need. Mrs. Fant earned a degree in Communication Studies from Vanderbilt University in 1995, as well as a JD from Washington University School of Law in 1998. She is a member of the Tennessee Bar and State Bar of Georgia. She serves on multiple community boards and recently was certified through Vanderbilt to volunteer her advocacy services to parents of children with special needs. Mrs. Fant has been married to her best friend, Charles Fant, for 19 years, and they have 3 children. James Ryan, a student at CMS, and Samuel and Solomon are second grade twins at Yates Primary. It is my privilege to introduce a fellow junior miss and friend of mine, Mrs. Tracy Fant.
Wow, that was, as she was saying that, it's hard to sit here and listen to that because I'm like, are they really talking about me? That can't be me. Brad, I want you to meet my husband, Charles, because the whole why thing is what my husband told me I should talk about today. So I'm glad I did not, because it would have been Brad's speech. I decided to go with something else, but it's a true honor to be here. I really do feel undeserving of this honor. There are so many individuals who could have been selected, but I am very appreciative of the honor. And how to begin? I am a mother of 7-year-olds, so I still read children's books. So I'm going to say one of my favorite children's book is how I'm going to start this out. A Blessing from Above is a book that is focused and centered on adoption, which is very special to my family, my husband and I, but it also has more value than just adoption. Quick summary of the book, if you haven't read it: a bird is in a nest, the nest is too full, the bird falls out of the nest and falls into a kangaroo's pouch, and we're going to call her Mama Roo. That's the kangaroo. Mama Roo can't have children. She's always prayed for children, so now she decides she's going to give her love to this baby bird. The question I have is, what motivates Mama Roo to get up every morning and to provide for her family? It's her baby bird. That's what motivates her. My question for you is, what motivates you every day when you come to Cleveland High School and you get up in the morning? Are you motivated to be the very best in anything that you do? Are you motivated to make a difference in the world or to make a difference in someone else's life? Are you motivated to make a lot of money so you can buy the big house and the big cars and everything else that you've always desired? Are you motivated by receiving a lot of honors or accolades from teachers, friends, and the community? Your definition of what is successful is basically based on and depends on how you answer that motivation question. What motivates you is how you're going to define whether or not you are successful. What's the motivation for all of the other class members here in the Hall of Fame inductees today? They all have different motivations. What was my motivation in high school? My parents always said you have to be the very best that you can be. You may not be the best, but it's the best Tracy Dunn that you can be. That's who we want you to be. That was my motivation in high school. And that was the center of pretty much everything that I did, was to be the best Tracy Dunn that I could be. The one message I want to leave you today is it is impossible for you to reach your achievements and your honors and your goals without having Mama Ruse or Daddy Ruse in your life. You have to have other people. You can't reach it by yourself. So all of us that are here, you hear kind of what we've accomplished, and if we met our goals, without having those Mama Ruse, we would not have been able to do that. I had many of them while I was here at Cleveland High School. It's hard to name them all, so I'm only going to name about 3. 1 and 2 Mama Ruse would be my mom and dad, James and Beverly Dunn. They were always there supporting me in many different ways. Probably the thing I hated the most about school was standardized testing. Sorry, Dr. Ringstaff. Did not like it, and my test scores were always either right there on the border or just right there where they needed to be. Without my mom being my advocate in high school, I would not have been in the classes that I was able to take when I was here, so the honors and the AP classes. My mom advocated for me. She said, give my daughter a chance, and I promise you she can do it. Without having that advocate, I would not have been able to go to Vanderbilt University or even compete at that level. Another Mama Rue, it's really my Daddy Rue, is my father, James Dunn. He worked swing shifts and he worked overtime because someone had to pay for that Vanderbilt University education. I wish I could say it was all scholarship. It was not, but it was my dream school, and my parents made sure that I reached that dream school. My dad gave many things, not just to me, but to the community at large, as well as my mom, who also worked a second job to put me through school. And my dad's whole life was built around helping others. And when he gave his life a couple of months ago, he was actually helping someone else at the time that he passed away. So that's something that I have always strived to live up to, and those are my number 1 and 2 Mama and Daddy Ruse. My third one, which will probably come as a surprise that I'm actually going to mention her, but my third Mama Ruse was in my bio, and it is the lady who, I was not her child biologically. You wouldn't know that because at every birth of one of our family members, she was there and sometimes in the delivery room with our children, but she was not our family member by blood, but it is Kelly Bender, and I think her name has come up already today with the cowbell lady, okay? She gave so much to me and to my family, and my junior miss experience would not have been what it was without her being a part of my life. Interview is a scary process, and I'm looking at Jada now, and I know she knows that. Interview is scary, and I don't think I was a very good interviewer when I started, but by the time I came out with all of her hard work that she put into my life, I became a much better interviewer. So, and also, the friendship didn't stop just at school. She's a true Raider. But the day that my dad passed away, I called 3 people to let them know immediately, and she was one of the ones that I called because that's how close she is to me and my family. So any achievements and successes you have, I'm going to say it again, is impossible without having those Mama Ruse in your life. What is my motivation today? I'm a part-time attorney. I still practice law, but I don't do it a lot. I do it part-time. My main full-time job is being a mother of 3 boys. I put everything I do into my sons, and I realize that your successes are truly, truly important only when you're giving to somebody else. So my challenge for you today is, as you reach the goals that you've set for yourself, which I know you have goals, remember that at some point you're going to want to turn it around and pay it forward and invest in someone else's life. Developing someone else's success will truly reshape and redefine how you view your success. Thank you so much for the privilege of being here today. I am truly honored and undeserving, and I do truly appreciate this privilege and honor. Thank you. I don't know if I can. Oh, there we go.
It is my honor today to introduce you to Mr. Scott Pritchard, member of the 1991 graduating class of Cleveland High School. Once a member of the award-winning Blue Raider Marching Band, today he is employed by the Boeing Company as an electrical design engineer. Talented musician, Mr. Pritchard was a valued member of the marching and concert bands during his time at Cleveland High School student. He summed up these years at CHS as being one collective greatest memory, because there were too many wonderful moments to narrow it down to one. Mr. Pritchard credits his time in the band room and on the marching band field as being the defining impact on him as a high school student. Through learning to work with a large team towards one goal, band instilled discipline and a lifelong love of music, all of which have served him well as an adult. This love of music and band carried over into Mr. Pritchard's college years as he was a member of the University of Tennessee Pride of Southland Marching Band. He earned a bachelor's in electrical engineering and a master's in aeronautical science, and followed those with a 16-year career in the space industry. Mr. Pritchard has earned numerous NASA awards throughout his career. Please join me in welcoming Hall of Famer, Mr. Scott Pritchard.
Public speaking, not my forte. We'll try to wing it. Just want to thank Miss O'Brien and Jim for the nomination, and it is very humbling to be here and to wonder what I did to be a part of this group and last year's group. As Mr. Burton said, that there's just been a lot of memories here, and just walking the halls even today and having to be led, because the last time I was in this particular gym was my last band concert, which was 23 years ago. So a lot of changes, and I don't really know the place anymore. But I guess one particular outside of band, which was my life for 4 years and 2 more up in Tennessee, was, I see Coach Shaw back there. First day of class my freshman year, you know, you're coming in and you're going, oh my goodness, this place is so big. I'm low man on the totem pole, what are we going to do? I had world history with him, and he stands up in front of the class. One of the first things he said is, we have a recording of authentic Egyptian music back from Tutankhamun's era. We're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Where did they find this? So he builds it up, builds it up, builds it up. Then he plays Steve Martin's song, King Tut. And so we erupt in laughter, and that, you know, that breaks the ice of being a fish in a new sea. But I think one of the reasons why I am here, as Brad and Tracy before me said, is the why. And, you know, why am I here among other people? And, you know, I look at myself as just a regular engineer, and I was blessed enough to go into my dream job, which was space industry. And that was the reason I became an engineer. And I always thought when I was walking these halls, if I could be an engineer, go down and work in Huntsville, that would be great. And I ended up in Houston and working mission control there, you know, for 13 years of my 16 years, and, you know, keeping the lights on the space station now that's orbiting 214 miles above our head, and, you know, training astronauts and doing everything that I've done. How did I get there? And that was because of the teachers in this building. and some are still with us, like Miss Lemons and Coach Shaw just recently retired, and Miss Cross, who I had for history. And there's just too many to mention who has impacted me. But because of their willingness to pour their heart into a career line that many find worthless, many find as underpaid, which they are for what they have to put up with. But they still put that dedication into you, into me, and I wouldn't be where I am without them. And for them to teach me not only whatever subject they had, but as a professor in college told me, he said, I am not teaching you to be an electrical engineer. I am teaching you to think like an engineer. I am teaching you how to prepare like an engineer. And that's what all your teachers are doing now. They're teaching you how to move forward into your next phase of life. My class in '91, for commencement, we voted on the class song. Ended up being REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It. And we came into baccalaureate and class night to that song. And I personally thought it was kind of cute that we did that, but when you look back on your time, yeah, it's a big breaking point where you're done here, you're 17, 18, you're done with high school, you're done with everything as you know, and you've got to step out into the big world, whether it's going straight into the workforce, whether it's going into college and moving into a big university like I did, moving away from home, joining a band program that was 3 times as large as the one here when I was here, and to join that tradition and, in our case, play Rocky Top more than 2,000 times in my 2-year career there. And, you know, I'm proud of that. And Mr. Burton being able to be my band director as part of that time and instilling that leadership and instilling those skills of working with other people and toward the greater goal. But, you know, and especially I thank my parents. I wouldn't be here, of course, obviously, biologically without them. But my mom was a teacher here my entire time here. So, like Brad, you can't get away with much when your mom's here, and every teacher knows your mom, and they will get back to you. So, but I just want to thank everybody, and just if you all could just continue to look forward to what you're going to do, and just look back and be very appreciative of your teachers. And you might not now, but several years down the road, you'll realize the impact that they had. So, thank you.
Last night at 9:38 in the evening, I was watching the tennis match on TV, and I get a text from Steve Hartline. And it says, remember, Monday morning I have the microphone, and everyone listens to me. I would argue the fact that most people are on XM radio in the mornings. However, I could sit here and talk about all the whining he did last year when he didn't make it in the first class of the Hall of Fame, but I don't want to do that because this is a special day for him. Steve Hartline is a great representative for Cleveland High School and Cleveland City Schools, and we're very proud, and I'm very honored to be the one to introduce him today. He's known as the voice of Cleveland. He is a member of the 1996 graduating class of Cleveland High School. He's the owner of Mix 104.1 WCLE and Talk 101.3 and 1570 AM WCLE, as well as the morning host on Mix 104.1, which I would argue he works part-time, as he's only there about 2 days a week. Mr. Hartline began his preparation for his career in radio in the classrooms of Cleveland High School, honored as Toastmaster General for Mrs. Haas' public speaking class, and serving as CHS basketball PA announcer and broadcasting CHS baseball on WCLE as a junior at Cleveland High School. Mr. Hartline's closest friendships, many of whom he remains friends with to this day, are his greatest memories while here. He recalls lunches, football games, pep rallies, and pretending to pay close attention in certain classes while actually doing a mock radio program. Mr. Hartline's credits are the great teachers and staff here at Cleveland High School for giving him confidence to achieve his goals. He believes his time at Cleveland High School sharpened his focus on what he wanted to do with his life. After graduation from Cleveland, Mr. Hartline continues to work at WCLE Radio in Cleveland, then graduated from Lee College with a communications degree in 2000. He bought the station in January of 2008, continuing a tradition of excellence in radio. Mr. Hartline married Jennifer in 2005 and has a daughter, Reagan, age 5, who is at Mayfield Elementary, and a son, Holden, age 2. He loves the Cleveland community and the great relationships he enjoys with the people here on a daily basis. Please join me in welcoming Hall of Famer, Mr. Steve Hartline.
I heard a lot of nice introductions this morning. That was not one of them. A couple of things. I'm honored to be here. Guys, I know you've been sitting a long time, and if you reap what you sow at Cleveland High School, you would all be asleep right now when I speak, because that's what I used to do to other speakers. All right, so go ahead, feel free. No, a couple of things. I'm honored to have been nominated for this, and I'm honored to be here, but what kind of cruel joke is it to put me on the panel with all these esteemed people, and the man who accepts before me is from NASA? I turn a button on and talk. That's as complicated as it gets. A couple of things I noticed when I came in this morning. Mrs. Pace, my 9th grade, her first year, general chorus teacher. I am glad to see that, unlike what she told me, the whole choir does stay in the same room. That's good, Mrs. Pace. I was always in another room. I didn't understand that. Also, former Bradley Central High School principal Dale Richard Hughes in a Raider blue sweater. And then I skipped breakfast. And so I was so glad to see Bubba here from Jenkins Deli. I bet he has some chicken salad for all of us here today. What do you think? I'm glad to see that both of my principals, when I was at Cleveland High School, Mr. Willie, Mr. Green, are in attendance today. And, I guess this means that I'll finally get my diploma. I'm so honored, man, I tell you. Hall of Fame made me think last night of halls. I'm kind of a simplistic person, okay? So I just kind of went with that. Halls. And as I think about the halls of this school, I think about faces and memories. I think about Mrs. Helmstetter's geometry class and my friend Mrs. Pritchard. I will tell you, my parents met in summer school for math. Let me run that by you again. They met in summer school for math. I was destined to not be a great achiever. And as I'd go in the geometry class, I would wonder why God was punishing me. To another hall and see Mrs. Hilliard's biology class, where Chris Green and myself presented to her what she called, and I will quote, the worst dissected frog in her 40 years of teaching. And she saved it as an example of oh, this is funny. This is good. Is this you, Souders, doing this? All right. Of what not to do. I go down the hall and I see Coach Mark Tipton's English class, where my friend Drew White and I, yes, we would do a make-believe radio show every day. Wonder why I didn't make better grades. And include a fellow student who did not know he was part of the show. We'd just stop and stare at him and wait for him to do his segment. Just something not right there, is it? Then, down another hall to Mr. Smith, Mr. Bedford Smith. I understand he retired last year. His Spanish class, where I am pleased to announce that he told the entire class, as a matter of fact, that I pronounced the word clock better than anyone in that class, and I will do it now. El Reloj. Then there's the gym hall. As a freshman, where I was in awe of many of the future state champion stars on the football team, especially as a freshman and a sophomore. And how about a three-peat state championship while we were here? Down another hall of the old cafeteria, you now call it the library, I believe, where lunch was fun and the conversation was sports and who we were asking to the dance, and then we'd chalk up how many rejections we got. And making our friend Sarah Murphy, who nominated me for this, laugh so hard till she stopped breathing. Kind of dangerous, too. Another hall, I would see Coach Carl Zimmerman's class, his history class, where he taught history like a narrative and made me fall in love with it. But then there was Andy Phillips, who now runs your technology department. He and I would also do news and sports reports in that class, and he did pretty good for himself. And then another hall, another hex, and it was Mrs. Hawes and Mrs. Dent's classes in that hex, who both pushed me to learn, try harder. Mrs. Hawes would say, I want you to get out of Cleveland. I want you to try broadcast. I want you to try, I'm talking too loud. I want you to try broadcasting in a major market, but I really think she just wanted me to leave Cleveland. Then to the decision to approach WCLE Radio and an owner and say, I was 15 years old. I want to do high school baseball. I want to broadcast Cleveland high school baseball. And that was in this building with my friend Drew White's dad, Harold, a fellow 96 graduate. And I did that. And I did that for free, by the way. And to think of all the people who went before. I'm so glad to have the voice of the Raiders. Hey, Sonny, can you fix this? Sonny Hicks, the true voice of Cleveland High School, is here today. I'm so glad to see Sonny. To think of all the people who walked these halls. My dad was in the first graduating class. My mom is here today. She was in the second class. And who, I believe, one day, my daughter Reagan, my son Holden, my son is here, will walk these halls as well. So yeah, I don't need this mic really, but it was in these halls in this school where I began to understand that I am a dreamer. I dreamed of a lot, but I could never have dreamt that I would be standing here today in the ultimate dream at Cleveland High School. I would never have dreamt that I would marry Jennifer Hartline as my wife and have Reagan and Holden and doing something that I love. And God is the only one who could make something like that possible. And I would highly encourage you, every person in this building, to let him take charge of your life. So as the late, great Robin Williams said in one of my favorite movies of all time, Dead Poets Society, he was quoting Walt Whitman. He said, "Oh me, oh life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good are these, O my life?" And he said the answer that you are here, that life exists, an identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be? He asked that question. And I am so proud, I am so honored, deeply honored to be here today. I'm so, I look out at some of my fellow graduates, Athena and Amy is here that I see, my buddy Wes Smith back there, and I just got to know that they're really making fun of me right now. They can't believe this is happening either. Thank you very much, Mrs. O'Brien, Dr. Ringstaff, the selection committee, my friend Sarah Murphy, and anybody who had anything to do with this. I thank the staff that continues, the teachers. God bless the teachers, the staff at Cleveland High School. And God bless you, senior class, You're halfway awake still. I'm so surprised. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
I'm honored today to introduce Miss Brenda Holder, class representative of 1996. She is a Special Olympics athlete and is employed as a longstanding crew member at Jenkins Deli. During her years at CHS, Ms. Holder enjoyed her physical education classes with Mrs. Sandra Morris, where she had the ability to improve her Special Olympic skills. She also thrived as a member of the choir under the direction of Mrs. Shirley Pace. She was a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and participated in the very first group of work-based learning students at Cleveland High School under my direction. Ms. Holder's great memories from high school involved the time she spent with her many friends she made while at the school. They always included her and made her feel like she was part of the school community. She also feels that high school taught her to believe in herself. Ms. Holder has won several first and/or second place awards at the area and state Special Olympics in bocce. She furthered her education by attending Truesdale School, where she was nominated by her peers as Snowball Queen. Ms. Holder is involved in many community service activities and is a crew member at Jenkins Deli, a position she has held for the last 13 to 14 years. Join me in recognizing Ms. Brenda Holder, class of 1996.
I want to say good morning.
Good morning.
I want to begin by saying thank you to Mr. Glenn Dent for nominating me. I also want to thank Mr. Doug Green and the nominating committee who chose to honor me in the special way. When I learned I had been nominated for the Cleveland High School Hall of Fame, I was so excited. However, I want you to know I did not get here on my own. I got here because of some very outstanding teachers who I came to know and love. I want to mention who I came to know. Some of those teachers who stand out in my mind. Mr. Glenn Dent, Mrs. Terry Crump, Mrs. Marilyn West, Mrs. Miriam Anderson, Mrs. Debbie Elliott. Mrs. Gally Hilson, Dr. Kelly Miller, Mrs. Barbara Ferris, Mrs. Lloyd Johnson, Mrs. Shirley Pace, Mrs. Sandra Morris, and Mrs. Becky Davis. I said to all these teachers, look where I am standing today. Can you believe it? The impossible has become possible because of you. All of these teachers believed in me, and by the time I left Cleveland High School, they had taught me to believe in myself. The three of these teachers, Mrs. Ferris, Mrs. Elliott, and Dr. Miller, are no longer with us, but I wish they could be here to celebrate this moment with me. I can never repay any of these teachers for what they taught me, not only in the classroom, but many life lessons they taught me as well. I also want to mention the students I went to school with. These students, including them, the students saw beyond my differences from them, that I was more like them, that I was different from them. And even today, I frequently run into these students, and we always stop and catch up on one another's lives. My 4 years at Cleveland High School were some of the best years of my life. Came to love Cleveland High School and what it stood for because of the teachers and students who make it what it is. So when I say thank you for what is perhaps the biggest honor I will ever receive, I am saying thank you to the teachers and students who make Cleveland High School so very special. I am going to close and say, go Big Blue!
Hello. I am so proud to introduce my best friend, our last inductee to the Hall of Fame, Mrs. Melissa Wagner. From the class of 2000, our next Hall of Fame inductee is Mrs. Melissa Wagner. Mrs. Wagner is a voice very well known to most of our area, as she is an on-air radio personality for WUSY US 101. Mrs. Wagner spent her high school years on the sidelines with the cheerleaders, in the choir room with Renaissance and Silhouettes, and participating in activities with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. She believes that there is nothing better than cheering on a Friday night for a CHS football game. Some of her best memories also include the yearly choir trip, where our bus forgot to pick us up, to Orlando to perform at Disney. Activities such as cheerleading, show choir, and classes like Contemporary Issues with Al Miller, public speaking with Miss Patty Puckett, and many English classes deserve the credit for challenging Mrs. Wagner to speak her mind in a respectful and correct way, and to step outside of her comfort zone and approach a crowd. She sees this as the biggest impact Cleveland High School made on her. Since graduation from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, Mrs. Wagner has been awarded the Country Music Association Small Market Personality of the Year in 2010 and 2012. She also earned the Academy of Country Music Personality of the Year in 2010 and the Country Radio Seminar Personality of the Year in 2012 and 2013. We just found out she also was nominated for a CMA this year as well. She holds the title of hosting the highest rated afternoon radio show in Chattanooga. Mrs. Wagner lives in Ottawa with her husband Brad and her two beautiful boys, Easton and Landon. Please welcome Mrs. Melissa Wagner.
I think I've about cried 10 times today. I just had a baby, so you have to bear with me. Thank you so much. This is such a huge, huge honor. When I found out that I was going to get this, I was extremely overwhelmed. I look back on my time at Cleveland High School with great memories, and I was gathering my thoughts about what I was going to say today. I realized that my time at Cleveland High School played a part in making me the person that I am today. I was thinking back on some of the classes I had once taken, and it actually brought a smile to my face, thinking about how all of them were signs directing me into my current profession. Whether it was Coach Miller's Contemporary Issues class that let me have an outlet of free speech and also kept me up on current issues in the world, or Mrs. Puckett's speech class that helped to sharpen my skills of public speaking. I even smile thinking about Mr. Bivens' English class, where on numerous occasions he would refer to me as a social butterfly. I realize now that he may have been onto something. I also have to give thanks to Mrs. Wattenbarger's keyboarding class. To this day, I still get compliments on my fast and accurate typing skills. And of course, my husband really appreciates the many lessons I learned in Mrs. Melton's home ec class, although he may still argue that my cooking skills could use some work. I agree. While at Cleveland, I enjoyed the 4 years that I got to be on the varsity cheerleading squad. I still, on occasion, can be caught doing the Raider Fight song or performing a cheer or two. There is no doubt that cheering helped me to stand out as an individual in a crowd, something I do almost daily today. I would have to say, though, some of my most treasured memories come from my days in choir with Mrs. Pace. From the many choral performances and silhouettes and Renaissance to our trips to Orlando to perform at Disney, these memories stick with me the most. I give a big thank you to Mrs. Pace because she is the person who helped me gain one of my most valuable tools that I use today, and that is the confidence to be an entertainer. My time at Cleveland High School also gave me something that is irreplaceable, and that is a true friend. A lot of you are expanding your knowledge and history here at Cleveland thanks to this wonderful person. I know her as Julie, but for most of you, she is better known around here as Miss Phillips. Julie and I graduated from Cleveland together. We went to the University of Tennessee together where we were roommates, and to my kids, she is Aunt Julie. She true friend is there through the good and the bad, and Julie has always been this person to me. I realize that high school is a time of change, a chance for you to discover who you are as a person and what kind of person you want to be. Big things happen in high school. Academic growth, first dates, driving a car, scary, my brother. The fun of picking out a college and trying to figure out what it is you really want to be when you grow up, because growing up really is starting to become a reality. Luckily, Cleveland High School was a great foundation to help make those growing pains a little easier. If you asked me when I was in your shoes if I would one day talk on the radio for a living, or I would win a nationally recognized award doing my craft, or I would get to hang out with country artists like Keith Urban, Taylor Swift, and Jason Aldean, I would have told you that you were crazy. But when I look back on it now, there were many signs during my time here at Cleveland High School and then in college where I was being led to follow this career path. So as you continue on with your high school journey, current class, I encourage you to listen and watch for those signs that help lead you to become the great person you are meant to be, and to help you choose a career you will prosper in and most of all, be happy in. I want to say a big thank you to my parents who are here today. They were solid foundations for me during my days of high school and beyond. Thank you especially to my dad, whom I firmly believe has every moment of my high school career on VHS. Yes, when I was in high school, things were still recorded from a video camera and put on tape. Also, I want to give a shout out to my wonderful siblings, also Cleveland Raiders, Megan Turner Martin, class of 2003, Kelly Stevens, class of 2009, and today is extra special for me because as I get to reminisce on my days here at Cleveland, I have a brother, Dylan Turner, who is currently a student here, class of 2017. It is really cool to be able to talk about my journey in high school and know that he is getting to experience some of those things today. Again, thank you to everybody for this great honor who had a part in making this decision. Also, a big thank you to my sister who had to have turned in one big great nomination in order for them to even consider this. Go Raiders.
Real quick, let's have a hand for the class of 2015 and their great behaviors today. And President Ben Morris, I see Ben back there. Ben did a great job opening this up. Congratulations, Ben. It's been mentioned a few times, I really had nothing to do with the dome coming down, so let that, there was some other issues involved in that, but we do have two of our city council members here today, Charlie McKenzie and I think Dale Hughes just snuck out, but let's give them a hand. And we have school board members with us today from the Cleveland City Board of Education, Mr. George Meacham, Mr. Charlie Cogdell, Ms. Dawn Robinson, and Mr. Steve Morgan. Please give them a hand. And CHS Live is broadcasting this live around the world. Our CHS Live program is the most watched in the United States. John Souders and his group does a fantastic job, so one quick hand for CHS Live as they continue their great stuff there. Every year at graduation, I start off graduation by just listing the colleges, universities, military destinations that our class will leave after that graduation and go to. And today, you've heard some great areas such as Vanderbilt, Carson Newman, Lincoln Memorial, Washington University, Yale University, Auburn University, UT Knoxville, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee Wesleyan, Lee University, the Navy, the Air Force, and of course, NASA. So these are our class of 2014 alumni inductees. They've done a fantastic job, and you, class of 2015, will write your own story, and you've heard many, many allegations toward that today, and I'm excited to see what you'll bring forth over the next few years of your life. When you Google the definition of the Hall of Fame, it is a group of individuals in a particular category who have been selected as particularly illustrious. And we have some very illustrious individuals with us today. You are the alumni of Cleveland High School, and you etched a path of success that has been noticed and taken note of. You each set an example of excellence for everyone in this room that all past and future alumni can strive to be. On behalf of the Cleveland High School Cleveland Board of Education and myself, welcome to Cleveland High School Infinity. We're very proud of you, and we present you the Cleveland High School Alumni Hall of Fame Class of 2014. fine representatives, and we can't wait to see them hanging in the halls forever here. At this time, I'd like to introduce Miss Autumn O'Brien. Her and her staff have done a fantastic job, obviously, so as she comes forward, let's give the administration and faculty and staff a hand.
Before we sing the alma mater, I just need a couple of logistical things. Seniors and teachers, we are changing schedule just slightly. We're all hungry, right? So we're going to go to third block. Okay? All right? Yes? Okay? Yeah? We good? Teachers, we will be sending out an email with logistics as far as the rest of the school day. When you work with teenagers, we know we have to be flexible, so we're thankful for the ability to adapt and be a little bit more flexible. Before we go to third block seniors, I need about 90 seconds because we've been bragging on you. We've been talking about your school spirit. Need you to help us sing the alma mater, please, led by Shirley Pace and our Cleveland High School Choir. Those of you that are guests, if you turn your programs over, the words of the alma mater are listed there. Thank you for coming.